your engines! It's night racing at Bristol. Green flags in the air.
And welcome to the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. I'm your host, Tom Clark, along with co-hosts Corey, Carroll, and Colton Jacobs, here to bring you weekly insight on all things NASCAR, with a review of past week's races and a preview of upcoming events on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at TCW Speed Report. Email your questions to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Check out the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report Facebook page, and also check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud. And I would like to welcome my co-hosts for the evening, Corey Carroll and Colton Jacobs. Oh, good evening, gentlemen. How's it going?
It's going good.
It's looking like...
Yeah. It's having some technical difficulties over here.
Hey, that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun. Welcome to this edition of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. We are reviewing the night race at Bristol, previewing the Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington. It's a traditional race. But always with Bristol, especially the night race, we usually have a triple header weekend, so to speak. The truck winner in the Camping World Truck Series was Ryan Blaney. Didn't get to watch that race, but I heard it was pretty interesting. Went from a lap down and 2 laps down and a speeding penalty. And
Yeah, he was speeding on pit road, went a lap down, but fought back and beat Kyle Busch and Matt Crafton. Matt Crafton had it in the bag. And
yeah, they said it was pretty entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good race.
I'm sorry, this is not about anything, but I just want to comment on how much better Colton sounds than when he called me like an hour ago. Like, this sounds like he sounds normal, right?
Yeah, it means he's working hard.
When he called me, man, I thought he was about to... I thought he wanted me to come to the ER. I thought that's why he's calling.
Dang, sinus infection. I went and took a shower, got everything broke up.
Oh god,
it sounded a little better.
Shower, eh?
Sneaky.
We'll get back to Sneaky Peeky. We'll move on to our Xfinity race on Friday night. Heard Kyle Busch put on a show, but had some competition with Chris Buescher. He'd stayed out on older tires, correct?
Yeah, they were old by like 120 laps or so.
Oh, wow. So he said he was glad he took the shot. He was.
Well, yeah, but he ran out of gas, and he went from about winning, and Chase and Ty Dillon and Regan Smith weren't having great nights, and if he had kind of played it safe, he probably would have had another great points night. But instead, all those guys passed him. And it ended up being not as great of a point night.
That is beginning to shape up into a good points battle.
Yeah.
Which wonders why do we have a chase? Why does the Cup Series have a chase? Yes. Anyway, we move on to our review of the Sprint Cup Series race. Pole sitter Denny Hamlin set a new track record. Could not find out the actual lap time. I like to know the lap time. I think it was at 128 miles an hour.
Do we need to?
No, it was the speed was 131.
Oh, 131.
Something other. I don't know.
Okay. But I know the previous track record was held by Jeff Gordon for quite a while, and it was like a 14-second lap. So that was pretty quick to see Denny Hamlin. Somewhat of a continuation of Joe Gibbs Racing in their quote-unquote performance surge. We saw the green flag drop at the last great Coliseum. You see those Roman soldiers and stuff standing around? And at the you guys were getting El Portal. I was watching. And
just plugged him like a sponsor.
Yeah, El Portal in Morganton, North Carolina is a great Mexican restaurant. I like it. If I like it, people should like it.
Yeah. Great Mexican food.
Very great Mexican cuisine. Oh, man, maybe we should ask Morgan whether or not that was a federal offense.
No, I don't think she's the whatever you call it.
The right person to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't seem like she was
had
in
a
the-
wine or three when we were talking to her about that.
I would say about 5. Denny Hamlin, alongside teammate Kyle Busch, they pretty much ran away from the first part of the field. About lap 27, Kyle Busch took the lead away from Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin actually kind of got loose up off of 4, I believe, or 4 or 2, one of those corners. Then I think we saw our first caution soon after that. Throughout the night, we saw some spurts of dominance by people like Kyle Busch. Ended up leading 192 laps of the 500-lap scheduled event. But one of the things that kept plaguing lots of drivers, especially Jeff Gordon, was things like loose wheels. Do you think with all this loose wheel issue, do you think NASCAR would be looking at maybe going back to policing that type of thing?
I mean, I don't know if they're going to look at going back to policing it. I mean, the teams need to do a better job of making sure they get all the lug nuts on. I mean, if I was a driver, I wouldn't want any shortcuts at any tracks. You know, they talk about the load that that certain tracks put on the tires and the rims. I wouldn't care. I'd want all 5. I wouldn't want 4 at all.
So caution came out for debris at lap 52. Kyle Busch continued to lead on through like lap 100. Kyle Larson blew a left front, which we saw. I guess that was a little bit of a I'm laughing at hashtags here.
Yeah.
What'd the hashtag say?
Hashtag sneaky peeky. Which we'll get.
You put that on the Kyle Larson tweet?
Yeah.
Why? What did that have to do with anything?
I think
That's the point.
I think it's because I suggested it. Now I've lost the Twitter feed. We saw spurts of somewhat early greatness by the 18 of Kyle Busch. He took the lead from his teammate Denny Hamlin and led a race. Ended up leading a race high of 192 laps. But early on, we had a caution out for debris at lap 52. Lap 90,
there,
yeah, lap 93. Kyle Busch continued to lead.
He just had to go home.
He had enough. Around that same time, we had a caution for debris, and as the tweet says, the lucky as hell dog.
Yeah, because that was Dale Jr. got the lucky dog there. That was his second one of the night.
I had some people, my conspiracy theorist friends.
Here, sorry, but here's where punctuation is key, because is Dale Jr. lucky as hell like dog, or is he lucky as a hell dog?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
So he's being persnickety again.
Yeah, he's being persnickety again.
So yeah,
I just thought it was funny.
Dale Jr. Dale Jr. got the lucky as hell dog because he'd gotten put a lap down because of loose wheel situations.
Well, it was a theme in the Hendrick camp.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with Gordon and Dale Jr.
So, did I mention? I'm just gonna mention this again to our listeners that we will be. We're working on doing a better job at live tweeting the races. So we are. This is going to be our new way of going down, giving the rundown. As I'm looking, are you upset about this at Larry Mack? Larry Mack tweeted, did we just have a lead change during a 5-minute conversation about a wheel space?
And let me say that it was not a 5-minute conversation. Steve Letarte was just explaining what a wheel spacer is.
I guarantee you it was less than 1 minute.
Yeah. And Corey, what did some of the replies say? Something about better than...
Yeah. Something about Fox would have missed it because of talking about a full moon or vortex. Somebody else said that Larry Mack should take notes on these guys because his analysis is abysmal. And Dang, I forget what the other one said that was funny.
Something about DW. It's I think Larry's
yeah.
the one that tweeted it.
No. Somebody else said something about Fox would have missed it because DW would have been babbling about how it was different when he raced.
This joint right here, this is where but back when I was racing. So we're again giving a kudos to our good buddy Larry Mack.
Yeah.
At lap 287, Harvick passed Jeff Gordon, who was really for all that happened, starting 24th, working his way up, missing those first early cautions. Got up into the top 10, was making forward progress in that beautifully painted rainbow throwback scheme. It was so bright and so different, you could spot him out on the track, no matter what he was doing.
I remember during the race, they were showing it from the Goodyear blimp, and they were going down pit road, and we were like, oh, there's Jeff Gordon.
I had to shield my eyes, it was so bright.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's kind of a trait that is unique to NASCAR, is being able to take people back to maybe, because a lot of these race fans, they've been fans for their whole lives,
Yeah.
And for us sitting here right now, that rainbow car was who we learned who Jeff Gordon was. And NASCAR with their paint schemes, and we'll see a lot of those at Darlington. I think that's a great PR move, is to do that.
Well, I mean, I guess other major stick and ball sports like the NFL, certain teams have worn throwback uniforms. I don't know if Major League Baseball or the NBA has done the same thing, but definitely watching that car go around the track, I mean, it took me back to what I would consider our generation, the early 90s, Earnhardt versus Gordon and all those other great paint schemes that were prevalent during that time.
It's funny how things change over time, because for all the non-Gordon Earnhardt fans back in the day, that rainbow scheme was, like the worst thing in the world. You boo it, boo, and you go past the show car, spit on it, something like that. And now, 20 years later, we sit on the track, woo, yeah, go.
I know, and you made a comment during the race, Corey, that I like when it was around when Gordon worked his way up in the top 5, and Dale Jr. had worked his way back up in, and they were battling Keselowski in the 2, and you said it looked like an old, Gordon Wallace Earnhardt battle.
Yeah, it wasn't the 3, but it was an Earnhardt, and Gordon in his rainbow scheme racing the number 2 Miller car.
Looked like the night race 2002 all over again.
Yes. Yeah. Wait, are you talking about when Jeff moved Rusty out of the way?
Yes. The bump and run.
We might need to fact check that. I could have swore it was 01. His championship year. His last championship year.
Oh, we might have to fact check that one. I think I'll win $5.
I didn't bet $5.
Oh.
Did Gordon won that race?
Gordon ended up winning that race because he had a dry spell in 2002. I think people were concerned that because coming off a championship year, and he finally won at Bristol, won again at Kansas later on that year, and won somewhere else for 3 wins that year. So, but I believe that was Bristol, August 2002. That the famous...
But the August 2002 race is the race that Ward Burton threw his heat shields at Dale Jr.'s car. I remember that.
That might also have been a incident, but...
It was an incident.
I just remember the bump and run by Jeff. A flat tire for Carl Edwards gave the lead to Joey Logano. That was quite a battle leading up to that moment. We saw the different lines working, guys diamonding the corner, like running up high on entry and then diving back down on exit. But then we saw pretty soon that there was something amiss with the 19 of Carl Edwards. About this time, Jeff Gordon had made his way up to second place on the restart, ended up slipping back to 5th. And I had a inkling that when I heard they had the audio during the race cast, someone said, "Get ready," like someone on the crew. And I was like, oh, please. I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm sure it's not Jeff. And then they panned. Jeff had a vibration again.
Which that was the loose tower.
That was the first one, actually.
Oh, okay.
This is obviously, this is going back on the second half of the race. With 71 to go, caution for debris. Joey Logano leads. He seemed to, that was pretty much the I guess you would say the breakthrough for him, because favorites like Kyle Busch had speeding on pit road and loose tire issues. Denny Hamlin wasn't really a factor. Matt Kenseth, of course, blew up. So, this was, in racing, not only do things happen so fast at Bristol, it's not all pure talent, quote unquote talent. It's not pure 100% all what you can do with a race car. Certain situations can happen. You can take opportunities, as we saw with Joey Logano. So we moving down to the last little bit of the race. We had a long green flag to end the race, and boy, did Kevin Harvick again drive his nuts off to try to catch Joey Logano there at the lead. Do you think, Corey, that running second this many times is going to play in his head this close to the chase of how he's performing personally or how his team's performing?
Well, he said it didn't. Now, whether he's just, saying that in front of the camera for edification of his team and to pump them up and not get them down or whatever, I don't know. But he seemed pretty confident in what he was saying. So I don't think it'll play into his head in a negative way. If anything, it'll play into his head in a positive way. We ran second enough times. We need to get in victory lane. Because now people like Logano, Kyle Busch, of course Jimmy Johnson's been ahead of him the whole time, but they're kind of passing him in wins now, which is crazy because he's kind of been really dominant all year.
Which, if you look at the way last year went, he didn't score. He had like 2 wins at the beginning of the year, and then, didn't really put on a performance until the chase. To me, the guy drove his guts out, all throughout the whole year, like he is doing now. So, but that's interesting to kind of look at the way it's almost playing out like an act 2 to his Lee Stewart Haas's dominance. Also, quick shout outs to Clint Boyer. That was a good run for that team because of the impending news of Michael Waltrip Racing.
Well, at one point, though, him and David Reagan were in the top 5, and as soon as I think Jeff Burton said something, they Jimmy Johnson hit David Reagan, and then Reagan came down into Boyer, and they both wrecked. Yeah,
that was pretty unfortunate because they were both having a good run, especially for that team. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. making it all the way back to 9th, and also Kyle Busch making it to 8th. So hard-fought race. It was just a physical. You could tell it was a physical race all throughout the entire night. So we have a week off, which will be good.
Yeah.
And so Labor Day weekend, we move to probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite races on the schedule now that it's back on Labor Day weekend. The Lady in Black, the Track Too Tough to Tame, the Southern 500. I'll always know it as the Southern 500, whether or not Bojangles is sponsored or not. Which Bojangles, they got some good food. Don't get me wrong.
Love Bojangles.
Bojangles is good, yeah. The Bojangles Southern 500. We were talking about this before the podcast about how the Indy 500 inspired a lot of NASCAR things. Look at Corey giving me the...
Where are you going with this?
I was just going to give a little bit of history because we're going with a throwback theme here. Retro.
Okay.
A lot of people consider Darlington Raceway to be NASCAR's first super speedway, being at 1 1/3 of a mile length. Intended to be built as a perfect oval all the way around. One end of the track had to be narrowed because of the guy that owned the minnow pond. He didn't want to give up his land for the minnow pond, so Brasington was his name, I think. That was the forefront of building the track. Had to narrow that end of the track so he wouldn't run into that minnow pond.
Oh.
I don't know if there's any minnows in it now, or if the guy still owns the land. I bet
It's probably a parking lot there.
it's actually. I think the minnow pond's still there, but
is it?
nobody. They're not going to change the track now because of its historical
Yeah,
significance.
absolutely.
So they built the track. So in naming the race, at the time in America, IndyCar or Indy race, whatever, was the biggest thing around. So in order to sell more tickets to attach itself to a bigger name, they named it the Southern 500 because it was NASCAR's first super speedway.
Yeah.
They wanted it to have that same kind of prominence in the in the in the racing world. So when they ran the first one, though, the flat part of the track, the apron, was actually the track, and the banking was actually part of the. It was a safety track. So that is just a little history
It's a good
tidbit.
tidbit there, Tom.
And just speaking of that race, it also affected the Daytona 500, World 600, but we don't have time for that. Darlington is, to me, a crown jewel race in NASCAR, along with the Daytona 500 and World 600, Coke 600. In the world of NASCAR, this, along with those other two races, stands out as a race you want to win as a driver.
absolutely.
Because of the odd shape of the track, the odd engineering, the odd things they had to change to make the track, raceable, has made it quite a unique venue. The drivers equate running over the pavement as a piece of cheddar on a cheese grater, that they eat up the tires real quick. So it's one of those races I can't really preview, in the sense that I don't really have a clear-cut idea of how it's going to go, because there's really no fuel mileage issues there. It's always tires.
They are running the low downforce.
That is correct. I
Package
forgot
there.
about that.
That'll be interesting on that track because since they ran it at Kentucky, this is a lot different style of track. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how it rolls there too.
With the way the cars have been, I think that will open it up to, if I can't move you out of the way, because Darlington is a pretty contact heavy track.
Yeah,
I think good drivers will take advantage of that low downforce to move guys out of the way.
absolutely.
I think it'll be a great race. It's on Labor Day weekend again, which has been traditional. And the theme continues on down with the paint schemes of the race cars. There's just tons of them. The Stenhouse Jr., Stenica. He's running a paint scheme reminiscent of David Pearson with the gold wheels and
That'll be
the
cool.
17 styled as the way it was. Ryan Newman's running a vintage Caterpillar scheme, and it's just a cool place. It is, as I think Larry Mack stated, as we love Larry Mack, maybe it was DW. It is our Wrigley Field, our Lambeau Field rather.
Wrigley Field was a good comparison too.
Yeah, he's trying to make a comparison of this is what this place means to us, and through the last decade of schedule alignments, I'm glad a track like Darlington never went away. I'm glad it was never on the chopping block.
I don't think it ever will be either. I mean, there's just
Not
too
now,
much
yeah.
heritage,
But it's always a fun race. I mean, when you watch that race, you can tell that track is not built on a computer-aided design engineering thing. And that was good old boy. How's it look, girl? Well, start flattening it out right about here. So, because, that track, I think turns 1 and 2 have like a double apex. You hit one apex, and then you hit another on the exit. It's just crazy
Yeah.
the way it's laid out. So, the only thing I'm upset with, though, is why is Gordon not running the rainbow scheme at this track?
I don't know what he's running there.
I think it's just a regular paint scheme. So, if anything, my preview's been more of a reminiscence, a look back at the track, because to me it is an equalizer, in the world of NASCAR. It levels the playing field. There's not one good driver that has dominated since Jeff Gordon when he won, I think, 5 Southern 500s in a row or 4. But with all that said, we're going to move on to our fantasy picks. So, seeing as that I'm last again, or still, I don't think any of our picks did really good. Again, Corey's bad pick was like pretty decent.
Yeah, it was kind of middle of the road.
Corey's at 840. Colton is at 772 points, and I'm at a lovely 585 points. I scored 2 more points from last week.
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth, my pick, finished 42nd because of engine woes. But that's not the way Toyotas run, I'm here to tell you.
My goal is to get to 900 before Tom gets to 600.
For the rest of the year. For Darlington, I am going to go with someone I think, after seeing some of the success of his other teammates, kind of pass him by, and someone who's got a pretty decent throwback paint scheme. So I think someone who's won there before, Mr. Denny Hamlin.
Sticking with the Gibbs theme, huh?
Yeah, I think he's just quietly, because he won the pole at Bristol. He's showing that, hey, if these guys can do it, I can too.
Yeah. Well, I'm having a hard time waffling between who to go with, but I'm just gonna go with the man who's driving hard right now. Won there last year. I'm gonna go with Kevin Harvick because he is just
just
running
like
hard.
Colton did. He's shrugging his shoulders. He's like, I'm just gonna go with the man. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
You haven't picked anybody but Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch since New Hampshire.
Yeah.
He's gonna catch up. That's what he's doing. He's trying to keep the race at the top tight.
Yeah.
Fine, I'm picking Kyle Busch.
Okay.
Why?
Because I think he'll win the race.
Yeah, he's tired of He's tired of helping us catch up. He's like, fine then. I really put on the. I think that's what he's trying to do. Yeah. I really do. So we move on to Mr. Corey Carroll for our trivia round.
It's actually not my turn. I did it last week.
Oh, okay. Well,
isn't it Tom's turn?
Yeah. So I guess it is my turn to do trivia. So I'll be asking you two, the contestants. I will be going from the fill in the blank. Here we go. All right, Colton, we'll go with you first. When a car isn't oversteering or understeering, but travels around the racetrack as if it is on rails.
I've already asked that question.
It is said to be in
balance.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, hey, give me a second. I
was about to say free, and I remember I said that last time and you said it wrong.
So, hey.
That book is as thick as the Bible, and you couldn't pick a different question than
I'm getting ready to, because
1 point for me.
I'm getting yelled at. Okay,
1 point for
Corey.
me.
You've already asked this one too.
Well, pick a different one.
Okay. Okay, fine. The blank owned Jeff Burton's number 8 Ford that he raced in 1994 when he earned the NASCAR Premier Series Rookie of the Year.
The blank owned him?
The blank owned Jeff Burton's number 8.
Well, that just tells me it's like something Brothers or something. The Pemberton Brothers.
Close, but no cigar. The Stavola Brothers. So, let's see here, because I'm trying to look at people, I'm trying to read at the same time, and okay, I can't. That's too easy because Colton will get that. Okay, Colton. The blank is a school located in Mooresville, North Carolina, that offers an intensive program in which students can learn the tools of the trade needed to become a technician in the NASCAR industry.
It's like the
I'm going to make sure you say the correct phrase.
How I don't know. I know it's like the NASCAR school, but is it like the NASCAR Automotive Technician School?
No. You are one word too many.
Oh.
It is the NASCAR Technical Institute.
Okay.
So,
If the other person gets it wrong, the other person should be able to guess.
I mean, I knew what it was there. I just
okay,
didn't know
okay.
the
I like
exact-
that rule change, but we won't do it for this week. I'm just trying to keep things close.
I'm terrible at trivia.
NASCAR celebrated its 60th anniversary in blank, Corey.
That would be 2009, 2008, 9.
What's your final answer? Because you could be digging yourself a hole here.
The thing is, I think okay. The 50th anniversary was in 1998. So 2008.
60th anniversary, 2008.
I know that. I'm doing the math out loud.
Okay, is that your final answer?
2008.
Okay. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
So we're tied at 1 apiece. Okay, Colton, I'm going to give you a really big one here.
All right.
Should I leave the room?
No, it's okay. You can stay here. It won't take long. Joey Logano and Carl Edwards appeared on Cartoon Network's Blank in the summer of 2010 to advise teams competing against each other on how to blow up a race car. He's talking to the Tagliani family. It's a Cartoon Network show. I saw an episode of it once. It's like a teen game show.
I don't know, Slime Time. That was Nickelodeon, wasn't it?
No, the
I don't know.
That's what
answer
happens after you give the big one.
Yeah. Sneaky beaky.
Sneaky Beaky. Oh, Danica. It is Destroy, Build, Destroy.
Okay.
So I think that is one. Now, one more round. Let me get the answer key back on the right page here. Ooh, I think you'll like this one, Corey. A blank is a special formula or recipe of rubber used in a particular tire. The blank is a particular recipe or
I actually know this
formula.
one.
The compound?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So 2-1. So okay, Colton, I'll try to just randomly pick one.
All right.
Okay, here's a good one because I think it is a topic we all love, especially me. The Martinsville blank is considered one of the most famous concession stand foods in NASCAR.
Hot dog.
The Martinsville hot dog. That's right. Have you guys had a Martinsville hot
I
dog?
have.
How was it?
It was all right. It was all right. I mean, it wasn't like when, I don't know, DW about jumps out of the top of the booth to run down there and get him one when he starts talking about it. And then I had one, I was so excited that, I mean, I've had better. So I feel like I cooked better out tailgating.
Okay. Since we're both a tie, I'm gonna put a tiebreaker, and then I will receive. I will this is not gonna work because you guys are sitting right here. We don't have a pen and paper, do we?
Just ask the question. If one doesn't get it, then we'll.
Okay, this will be the. This one will be really good. Blank is used to describe any patching material used to fill cracks and holes or smooth out bumps on a track surface.
Sealer.
Colton, what is your answer?
Track sealant, whatever.
No, you want me to reread that question?
It's not that bear grease stuff, is it, that you were talking about at one time?
Well, what is your answer?
Track sealant.
Track sealant?
Yeah.
This one's going to have to go down in a tie because it is indeed bear grease.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's the same
Lord.
thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about it like 4 times.
I called it bear grease. And y'all are like, bear grease? I've never heard of that.
That's because it's really called sealer.
Because DW said bear grease, and what DW says is Correct.
in the NASCAR official trivia book.
Okay.
It's fine. No, you're right. We tied.
It's tied.
Yeah.
Tied. So that concludes our trivia round. All right. Woo! And we move on to Mr. Colton Jenkins for our green-white-checkered round.
All right, green flag question. It was like I was telling Corey yesterday. It was nice being able to watch Bristol and not
True.
have it get rained out. And this has been a thing the past few years.
Should we put a roof on Bristol?
Well, no, but that would be interesting. What should NASCAR do to change up the spring race so that it's not rained out every year?
I think they should try to aim more towards a warmer spring date. I know they tried that this year, but if at all possible, like an early May date. That way, if it does get rained out to the point where they have to run it at night, it won't be freezing cold or windy or dreary.
Uh-huh.
The only thing they can do to make sure it doesn't get rained out in the spring in East Tennessee is not race it in the spring or the summer. So from March until September, it's probably going to rain almost every day.
They should have like 2 back-to-back fall dates.
Yeah, like this week and next week.
Yeah.
But I think they made a good move, like Tom said, moving it to later in April. I think it was just kind of a fluke thing this year, just unlucky. But I think it'll end up being a good move weather-wise in the coming years. I think there'll be more races won't be interrupted by rain later in April than it would in March.
Okay. Did you have something to add, Tom? Or
No. I'm going to add at the end.
okay. Our white flag question is, as you like to say, everybody's favorite driver, Danica Patrick, signed a pretty major deal with
Sneaky Peekies.
Yeah, with Stuart Haas this week, and got her new full-time sponsor, Nature's Bakery. Thoughts on the impact of this signing for Danica and for Stuart Haas?
I'm just going to basically repeat what everyone else has been saying. It's good because, number one, Nature's Bakery is an upstart company founded in 2010 by a father and son duo that provides snack products, but they're, I guess, friends of the earth, environmentally friendly. That's good to see that type of thing, especially with a big name driver. Move those types of companies into that, it's into the marketing ploy of NASCAR and the marketing game. It's good for Danica because it gives her a place to be for the next few years. And it's good for NASCAR because not only the sponsorship, they got a big, she's going to shake her moneymaker and make money for NASCAR. So she ain't got much of a moneymaker. But anyway.
Well, yeah, it's good for Nature's Bakery. It's good to see a small business like that get involved in such a huge arena that is NASCAR. Unfortunately for Danica or Stuart Haas, the new sponsor doesn't mean that she now has talent.
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
she has talent enough to, I guess, make a living in NASCAR, but she, in my opinion, she doesn't have talent to be a championship or even a race-winning driver at this point.
To really drive a car.
Yeah. So she's a cash cow because she's a pioneer and a revolutionary and the first quote-unquote successful woman in NASCAR. And, I mean, she's attractive. That doesn't hurt. And so...
Certainly doesn't.
They're gonna run that they're gonna run that well dry. Stuart Haas is. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's kind of a sellout in my opinion. But I mean, you also got to keep the lights on and keep cars on the track. So if Danica helps you get those sponsorship dollars, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's a business. Capitalism.
Just to pro capitalism. The reason we're laughing at Sneaky Peeky is when. Danica tweeted she lifted up the skirt, like the cover of the car, and put her hand suggestively over her mouth. and the tweet said Sneaky Peeky.
Yeah.
And so Colton, when I sent the link to Corey and Colton of like, what does this mean? she realized she couldn't. She's going to announce that she really doesn't know how to drive a race car, and Colton kind of put sneaky peeky question mark or something similar to that, or what kind of sneaky peeky. So we're just playing on words. We're letting you guys decide what sneaky peeky is. But we've been using the code word here at the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. But anyway, continue on, Colton, with your checkered flag question.
All right. Real quick, my 2 cents on Danica is just I think Stuart Haas missed out on being able to sign a talented driver in Clint Boyer, but that's where we'll segue into our checkered flag question with the news. Michael Waltrip Racing closing the doors after this season full time, and granting Clint Boyer his quote-unquote release to look for a new ride. It's disappointing. It's sad for the sport, but what's it mean for Clint Boyer moving forward and David Reagan, and where do you think Boyer signs next year?
Talking to a few people from work, and I think we talked about it, but a lot of people think that Boyer will go to Roush to help Roush. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But one rumor mill is that he will go to H. Scott Motorsports or a lower tier team for 1 year to let Tony Stewart end his last year contractually, and him replace him, kind of like they did with Casey Kane. Really, in all honesty, I want to say I like Clint Boyer. I mean, he's a nice guy. He's a funny guy. But him and Jeff Gordon have butted heads before.
Yeah.
And as a fan, like I have to, I'm going to be biased in that I don't really am not concerned of where he goes. But I will say this about the whole situation. I don't like Rob Kaufman, and I have never liked Felix Sabates. And now that those two are together, it's to me, if anything in this sport that anybody could tell you, any owner, you can't buy success. And Felix Sabates, I don't know what he's done before. He's a big businessman. He's been funding Chip Ganassi's team. He keeps talking about, we're going to win a championship. Yeah, we're going to win a championship every year. Oh, we're going to win a championship. I get tired of hearing that. And then you got Rob Kaufman out of nowhere, also a car salesman, big business guy, throwing his money left and right, wanting to capitalize on his investment. And he didn't like where his investment had went, so he's going to move it somewhere else. And just as a personal note, I don't like guys coming into this sport throwing around money as if money will let me take a couple loose pennies and throw them on the ground and hope a money tree grows. It's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Corey?
I think Clint Boyer either gets a job with Jesse Pinkman trafficking meth to Mexico.
Okay.
Or he could sign and drive the Starship Enterprise.
Two viable options, yes.
That is cool.
Or it's hard to really speculate. I think what Tom said, a year at H. Scott, and then maybe replacing Tony I think that's a very logical conclusion to come to. I really don't know. I would probably have a better idea if I knew better where current drivers are in their contracts with different teams, and I just don't. But everybody, all the big teams are pretty set right now. That's the problem.
Yeah, the only ones that really have room to expand are Penske and Ganassi, but they've kind of got.
They've
drivers.
already said they're not going to run a third car next year.
Yeah, and then Childress, but he if he does a fourth, we all know who that's going to be for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it's possible he could spend a year in Xfinity. I think he would pretty much dominate that.
And in my opinion, I think he probably needs it.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt, I don't guess. Maybe hurt his wallet a little bit, but
yeah,
like it's not going to be something he can't live on.
Yeah. My little addition this is a first in a while. We've got a mailbag question.
What?
One mailbag question. Because remember, guys, you can email us at tcwspeedreport@gmail.com to send in your questions and concerns. The question is from a guy named TR, located undisclosingly somewhere in North Carolina. His question is Hendrick Motorsports doing anything to ensure Jeff makes the chase? And I will take this one on personally. Given what are his chances and things like that. No, I don't think Hendrick is doing anything different or completely out of the way to ensure anyone makes the chase. I will maybe say maybe they're working harder over at those shops, the 5 and 24 shop, of trying to figure out. We've got the same resources as the 48, the 88. Getting the same info, how are we going to reapply this? Because it's working for them, not working for us. So, no, I don't think Hendrick, even though I could say, yeah, he ought to put all his eggs in one basket for Jeff. What are his chances making the chase? I think they're fairly decent. But unless, just realistically, I love Jeff Gordon. I'm going to cry when he retires. I want him to go out on top. I want him to win the next 12 races. He might make the chase, but I don't know. I just really don't see him competing to the point where he'll be a contender. But I could be wrong. Any thoughts?
Well, I don't really don't think they have to do much to ensure he makes the chase because he's 54 or 56 ahead of Almirola, who's now out, who's in 17th. So really, as long as nobody outside the top 16 within the top 30 wins, and if he can just run solid, get a top 10, top 15 at Darlington and Richmond, or even Darlington, and stay above that 50 point mark, he'll be locked in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're going to put all their eggs in a basket, they're probably going to put it in with Casey because he's the one who's screwed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to win. So all Jeff has to do is run solid at Darlington, and he can probably lock himself in.
Yeah.
I think every team is doing everything they can to ensure all of their drivers get in the chase.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the point.
Even the guys that are in 25th.
Yeah.
Because they know they can win and get in. So
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for the question, TR. This is alias.
Yeah.
And that concludes this edition of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at TCW Speed Report. Email your questions to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Check out the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report Facebook page. And also check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud. This is your host, Tom Clark, signing out.